finally got to get rid of my Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, send it back to Sony. But goodbye is not forever. So I've already pre-ordered mine. I should get it probably around July 27th. But just some lessons learned, my experience with this phone over like the last 3 weeks. I've been surprised. I've really enjoyed it. There's been a lot of things about it I like. I love the cameras, of course. I figured I would because I love the cameras on the Xperia 1 Mark IV. But this new sensor that it has really makes video and photo that much more enjoyable, that much better. And of course, a little bit of that auto mode with the slight computational photography. Sony's done a good job with this phone. Just big ticket items from last year. The battery is better. The heat issues are gone. It's a really enjoyable experience. I love the speakers. I haven't really talked about this much in the previous past videos, but they have a really good sound setup, a good sound profile. It's great for vocals, not a ton of bass, but the volume is there, the clarity is there. And I was like watching the WWDC event from Apple. I was like, man, this just sounds so good. I was watching it for like an hour. And the great thing is the battery life lasts all day. So all of the major complaints that I had last year, gone. Which is something that you really hope for and pretty much never happens in the phone world. So better battery, better standby life, no heat issues, no crashing on the camera. The recording, you can record all you want. And it's great. And of course, you got the Cinetone, you got Venice CS, all that stuff. There's so much to like here. And it actually kind of bums me out. I know that this probably sounds very first world problems, but I got to go back to my S23 Ultra, and I don't really want to. Like, I might even use my Xperia 1 Mark IV and just deal with it until I can get my hands on mine whenever my Xperia 1 Mark V I ordered comes here. But this is a tough one because the S23 Ultra is such a good phone. But if I had the option and I just had one phone to use right now, the S23 Ultra, the Xperia 1 Mark V, I would use the Xperia 1 Mark V. I love the form factor. I love the haptics. I love this beautiful screen that's on here. I like the speakers. I like the fingerprint sensor built into the power button. And I love the cameras on here. The battery life has just been something it's been a breath of fresh air, especially considering last year we didn't have all those great things to talk about. We didn't have great battery life. We didn't have a great camera setup because of the heat issues. Like, you couldn't record any meaningful amount of time, especially if it was warm outside. So big game-changing stuff here, but it still looks refined and elegant, and I like the form factor. And I was so worried about the form factor because I was like, well, this is still not going to have enough to deal with the heat issues. But the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 exceeded everybody's expectations. It really redefined the landscape with a lot of flagship phones this year, reestablished my confidence in the S23 Ultra series, reestablished my confidence in this, and really gives us some great options. Because last year it's like, well, the OnePlus 10, it can't deal with heat issues or software as good as the Samsung. The Sony Xperia can't, and even the S23 Ultra, it had a lot of heat issues and battery stuff and throttling, and I just wasn't crazy about most of the phones last year. And I love the Xperia 1 Mark IV, just drove me crazy with the heat stuff, especially with the camera, or you'd play a game and it would get outrageously hot, or just spontaneously get hot. So, even the 5G, like, you got to get the US model, but the 5G works great too. Phone call quality is great. I've had people ask about that. Nice, clear, great for making phone calls. So there's a lot of stuff here to really like. You can unpack it in so many different ways, and you look at it and go, this really is a complex phone, but it really offers a nice, streamlined experience. And of course, this very bare bones operating system, it's about as light-skinned as you can get. It's like essentially stock. I almost think it's more stock than you get with Material U with Pixel now, because Pixel's tried to church it up so much when it comes to their operating system. It doesn't really feel all that stock anymore. So I actually like this. There are a few complaints that I have. One being there's not a lot of accessories for it, which maybe as we get closer to the official launch here at the end of July in the US, there might be a couple more options, but there's not a lot of case options. Screen protectors, those are fine. Of course, it's got a flat screen on it. There's no curved edge display, which I know makes a lot of people happy. You can even use last year's screen protector with it. So you can get some cheap screen protectors. It was $6.95 for a 3-pack. So that was nice. And I'm using my case from last year. Now, it's like 99% compatibility. Very, very close. No issues that I'm having. It's not 100%, but it's 99% there. And yeah, the only other concern I really have is the software. Yes, we get 2 operating system updates, 3 years of security patches. That's like the bare minimum level of acceptability. And a lot of people complain about that. Fair point. I get it. If you look at OnePlus, you look at Samsung, you're getting 4 or 5 years. It doesn't really look good to have a phone that's $13.99 that gets 2-3 years of support. I am happy they lowered the price though. It's not $15.99 like last year. Last year's price was crazy. Last year's price was off the rails. I didn't even buy the US one. I was like, you know what? I'll buy the Japanese model. I won't have 5G and I'll save myself several $100. So $13.99 the US model. Different ways you can pre-order to get different things that go along with it that give you something kind of cool for the extra money you're spending. But I think it's worth it. I know it's really hard to say that a phone is worth $13.99. You can go get a Pixel 6a, like $200. You can go get a Pixel 7 right now off of Amazon for what, $5.99, get a $100 Amazon gift card. There's a lot of different opportunities out there to get phones significantly cheaper than this. So this is not a phone that I recommend for most people. But if you're in the market for it, if you have the money for it, if you have the desire for it, then I think you'd be really happy, because I think it finally rewards a lot of the patience that people have had with the Sony Xperia line of phones, because finally, I think it nailed the camera stuff. Finally, it nailed the heat issues, gives you all-day battery, gives you basically everything that you want in a Sony phone, and a unique experience, because it's not like Samsung. It's not like Apple. It's not like these other phones, like the Google Pixel ones. It has its own identity, the Sony name attached to it, and yeah, there's some really premium, high-quality stuff there. Of course, you've got the headphone jack as well. You got the expandable SD card support. There's a lot of different things this phone has that a lot of other major flagship phones don't. So when you take a look at it across the landscape and you go, that phone's the same as last year, that phone's the same as last year, these phones are all the same. Yeah, the phone landscape can be pretty boring. But if you like the idea of taking on kind of like a Sony Alpha experience, where you don't want to go buy a DSLR camera, but you want to take that next step. You want to be a little more creative. You want to do some more work with RAW. You want to do, which of course you can do other phones, but I'm just saying, if you really want to dive in, learn how to do some real photography stuff like you're using a real camera, there's some really good benefits to this phone that you don't really get out there with the other ones. Plus, it's got the Sony brand. I love the dedicated shutter button. If you like gaming, this is perfect. Pass-through charging, 4K display, 120 hertz refresh rate, basically a professional quality display, RGB, all that great stuff. sRGB, I can't remember what it is, the gamut. I think it's like 99%. It's really good. I mean, all those different things like combined to say, I'm going to miss this phone. Like, I'm going to miss it a lot, because, and it was funny because I picked up my wife's phone and I was trying to help her out with something, and it's such a gigantic brick. Like, I hate that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is such a gigantic brick made out of stainless steel, widescreen, and it is just a huge brick. I'm recording on mine right now. I don't really enjoy using it. I've been using my iPhone SE 2022 for like a month now. Totally love it. No regrets. But picking this up as opposed to like my S23 Ultra, the iPhone, I love the one-handedness. I love the 21:9 aspect ratio, cinematic, all that great stuff. It's going to be hard without this for a while, but don't worry. Once it gets back, I'll make some more content here and there. I mean, it's not as much to talk about. I've covered just about everything you can probably talk about under the sun on this phone, but I really enjoy it. Like, these are my favorite. The Sony phones are my favorite, and finally, it's the one I was waiting for. They finally fixed all the stuff that I was concerned about, and like I said, goodbye is not forever. I got to wait till the end of July. Sony was kind enough to send this to me, but it's got to go back, and hopefully you enjoyed the content here that I covered while I had it. Hopefully it was insightful. Hopefully I showed you some of the stuff you're looking to see. Let me know in the comments some stuff you want to see once I get the phone back later on, and we'll go from there. And let me know if you ordered one, because I'm curious to see how many folks actually are interested in it. So that's all I got in this video. Farewell to my Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. It's been great. Good luck back with your family, back at Sony, and hopefully time will go quickly between now and when I can get it again, because I really do enjoy this phone, and I can't wait to be carrying it around as a daily driver again. So that's all I got. Questions or comments, please go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.